it's Michelle Caruana, owner of Climbing Vines Cafe and Play and creator of Play Cafe Academy. And in today's video, I want to tell you why we did not open an inflatable bounce house business. And this might seem like a weird question, but it's one I get a lot, so I'm going to address it. And don't forget to please subscribe to this channel. It helps so much, and I put out a brand new video every single week. So again, one of the more common questions I get from prospective indoor playground business owners is around why I chose my specific indoor play concept for Climbing Vines that you see behind me. As you likely know and can see, our space is cozy and intimate, and it focuses specifically on imaginative play for babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. Many people looking to break into the indoor play industry really struggle around refining their own play concept and wonder what they should focus on. For example, should there be a huge play structure? Should there be multiple play areas for different age groups? Should the space be a 20,000 square foot warehouse, or should it be a 2,500 square foot intimate cafe space? My first response when I get this question is that the correct answer will really depend on a few different factors, so it's not a one size fits all. Number one, where you are located and which competition you already face. Number two, what parents in your area need from an indoor play facility. And then finally, number three, what families in your area are willing to pay for play. So I have actually a comprehensive 5-day workshop all about validating your local indoor playground concept, or really any brick and mortar business idea, with more specifics that you can access, and I link to it below. So in that 5-day workshop, we really break down these 3 steps in depth, and I walk you through every single step of the process. But in this video, I wanted to answer this common question and share 3 really specific reasons with you about why I chose to not open an inflatable bounce house business and instead went for a more intimate, imaginative feel for my space. But first, I want to make an important clarification. I want to make sure that you understand that I'm specifically referring here to an indoor brick and mortar inflatable bounce house business. So in my opinion, a bounce house rental or a mobile type of business is really a different concept entirely, and that's not what I'm going to be discussing throughout this video. So just wanted to make that clarification. And again, if you have any questions, please comment them and I'll answer. All right, number one, I felt more comfortable with lower overhead. So this is the first and most obvious reason to me that I opened a smaller scale space, is that I wanted to operate, again, with low overhead. In the season of life that I'm currently in, you guys know I have 2 very young boys at home. I knew that I had no desire to operate a mega complex type of facility. I wanted to have a team of under 10 people, and I really wanted my costs to be such that if I needed to step away or take time away from the business, I could do so without too much worry. Inflatable bounce houses require space, and space requires money. The bigger your space that your business requires, the higher your costs are going to be, not only your startup costs, but your month-to-month costs. Yes, some bigger warehouse-style buildings can actually be less expensive in terms of cost per square foot as compared to smaller facilities with more elegant finishings. However, rent is not the only expense you need to consider. So the bigger your space, the more expensive some of your build-out costs will be. So paint, flooring, decoration, furniture, all of that will be needed for a much bigger space. Also, you'll likely need a larger team and therefore encounter a much larger payroll expense if your facility is on the larger side and if you have bounce houses to operate and clean. You'll also need to pay insurance, which is based on square footage and type of equipment, and utilities, which also, of course, is dependent on size, and high ceilings for bounce houses is gonna up your utility costs by a lot. So it's not saying these types of businesses cannot be profitable. However, I knew at the time I signed my lease that these were not risks that I was prepared to assume. We only had 1 child at the time, but I knew we wanted more very soon, and I'm very happy with my decision to not assume the risk of a business with huge costs. Our lease is now coming to a close, and we are considering a larger space as an option, but because my lifestyle is more flexible now and more accommodating of risk, I was, again, not in that season of life previously. All right, number 2, an indoor inflatable bounce house business would have been white noise in my area. So even though several inflatable bounce house type businesses have opened in my area since we have opened and seem from the outside to be doing pretty okay, I still feel like this type of facility would have been white noise in my area and would have been difficult to get attention. What I mean by that is that in the Rochester area, we already had many large gross motor focused facilities where parents could bring their older children to run around in big open spaces and get their energy out. Trampoline parks, children's museums, and more were already scattered throughout our entire area. So children aged 3 and up already had so many different options for indoor play, specifically gross motor focused. What we did not have in our area, however, was a smaller scale imaginative space for children aged 5 and under. I knew it would be much easier to stand out and differentiate my business and get new customers by filling a need that was not yet met as compared to trying to work myself into an already completely saturated market. And again, if you need more information and guidance about how to decide which type of concept will work in your area for indoor play, you can access my 5-day Validate Your Local Business Idea Challenge at your5daychallenge.com, and I also link to it below. All right, number 3. It's important for me to be inclusive. So I'd first like to preface this point by again reiterating that there's space for all types of facilities, and I'm not intending to speak ill of any one model. My children love to go to spaces with large climbing structures and trampolines and things like that. However, when I examined my own personal values and what kind of space I wanted to provide for my community, the inclusivity of children of all abilities was high on my list. While larger bounce house facilities can, of course, have different areas made specifically for children with different needs, I wanted my entire space to be accessible to all. We do not have a large climbing structure, but rather playhouses with ramps for all to access. We also have many toys and pieces of equipment fixated to the wall for children of all abilities to engage with. An inflatable bounce house facility would just not have fulfilled my values as a business owner, and it didn't match my vision, and it didn't match what my community needed. Not only can bounce houses not be accessed by very small children or children with physical disabilities, but they can also be very overwhelming to children with sensory processing issues or who are on the autism spectrum. The noise of the fans in these bounce house facilities is so loud, and if you've been to one, you know what I mean. And the sheer size of these pieces of equipment and the colors can be very triggering, in fact, to children, even without any type of sensory processing, but especially to those on the autism spectrum and who suffer from sensory processing disorder. So again, if you're struggling to decide with which type of facility you should open, I urge you to consider both your area's competitive landscape and also your values as a person, and if you're a parent, as a parent. The perfect space for you will come at the intersection of need and your desire and passion to provide. All right, so if you guys have any questions, again, please feel free to comment and subscribe to my channel if you like this video. I put out a new video every single week, and I have a ton of both free and paid resources that you can access below this video. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you next week.